Let's take a look at PDFs. A lot of times, websites will have end user documents that need to be downloaded, and they'll be PDFs or Word documents. A PDF file is usually generated from something like InDesign or Microsoft Word, and the user will print to PDF or export as PDF. The underlying structure of the text in a PDF file is generated using a printer language called PostScript, and the, there's a PostScript layer that has all of the information, all of the actual words in the document, and the structure of the words, and then there'll be like a bitmap image that is the part that people see. Um, the accessibility tree for a PDF document is generated with the PostScript and then with like positional information for the elements on a page. And most of the elements will kind of be in like a little, if you visually, it's kind of like a block like container. It's like a like an enclosure for different lines of text grouped together as a unit that um, like a paragraph, right? So when the accessibility tree parses this PDF document, it assigns a reading order to all of the elements on the page, and that's one of the things that we're going to do right now. Is we're going to set the accessibility options for Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. The reason I'm using Pro is because it has an optical character recognition feature that I want to get into. So let's just open one of these documents and then we'll see what it does. I know the suspense is overwhelming. Okay, here's our form. Okay, so I created an online form on my Drupal accessibility website that was pretty long and complicated, I guess. And so I had a user cover up their monitor and use JAWS to navigate it with just the keyboard, and then I gathered their feedback on a hard copy. And then I scanned the hard copy and emailed it to myself, and that's what we're looking at right now. And here's the OCR feature with Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. The free Acrobat Reader, Adobe Acrobat DC, you can set the screen reader properties for text that has already been OCR'd and has that text information embedded in the document, or something that was generated from an authoring tool that has the textual information embedded in the document. This is just a scan and it does not have what we need, so we're going to OCR it. We're going to recognize the text on all pages. There we go. There's a status indicator telling us what it's doing. And we're going to look at the structure of this document. Okay. Um, After this, this is one of the screen reader settings that usually when you first install Acrobat Pro or just regular old Acrobat DC, it's going to recognize that you've got JAWS or NVDA or something like that installed, and it's going to pop open this dialog and ask you how you want to set it up, and this is one of the items from that. So the reading order, like I was talking about earlier, all of the elements on the page are assigned a sequence, and you can sort of set the sequence programmatically. If you assume left to right, top to bottom reading order, that might cause problems if you're globalizing into a language that the reading you read from right to left instead of left to right, like Japanese or Hebrew or something like that. So for general purpose, I'm going to go with the recommended setting of inferring the reading order from the document. And the reading mode options for the reading visible pages only or reading the entire document. If you download the Texas Education Code from the Secretary of State here in Austin on their website, the legal code for running public schools in Texas is about 3,711 pages. So that's a pretty hefty download. If I had my screen reader settings configured to read the entire document, that means that it's going to parse 3,700 pages of pretty small type, and it's going to hold all of that in working memory. And it's going to try and build an accessibility tree for all of that data. So if I were using one of these low-end Dell thin client desktops like they have in the accelerator at ACC, or a low-end Dell laptop like they issue people at the state, it's very possible that that could eat up all of the working memory on that machine. So as I have this set up now, what I want to do is to read the currently visible pages only. And that might give me a little bit of lag when I flip the page, but I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. And I don't want to show this dialog again. And there's a reading preferences dialog that did not pop up when I first installed this that should have, like I was mentioning earlier. I might have to go in and set that, but these are the two main settings from that dialog box. So, I don't think it's going to cause us any problems to not configure it in that other box. So let's just start reading this thing. Not yet. What I want to do is I want to look at the properties of this thing. And I really don't enjoy the new layout of Adobe Acrobat. I mean, I understand that they wanted to get away from the old layout paradigm, but these flat graphics and set up as tiles and stuff like that is just personally for me it's kind of a little bit harder to get around in the document. It's such a departure from the way I'm accustomed to applications looking. What I want to see is the stuff in this pane over here on the left. There's like a little arrow that pops this thing out. Okay. And this has got, I believe that this is our page thumbnails. Thank God for tooltips. These are our bookmarks. These are notes, no attachments, so you can attach files into your PDF if you so choose. And here are our tags. And here's the reading order. So I think that this thing, while we're in the edit mode, we can actually see like I was talking about earlier, the containerization of these elements on the page. And you can see there's like a little box that shows up. Oh no, that's just for images. So it kind of indicates when you hover over it some of the characteristics of whatever the object is. So each one of these things is probably going to be assigned a reading order if we go into this order view. So we'll go to page 1. And what's it doing? Okay, so it's not giving me numbers for any of this stuff, and maybe that's because I selected to just let the page order happen on its own without any intervention from me. I believe that that's probably what's going on here. Yeah, I wish there was. Okay, here we go. Information. The reading order panel provides a visual representation of the order in which content is read by Adobe Acrobat and text-to-speech tool. To modify the order, please use the tags panel. Okay, so we're going to go to tags now. And it's untagged because we just optically character recognize this thing. So I believe that I can add a tag, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we can add the tags to the document. This is, when you do this, you're opting to do a lot of work because there is, as you can see, there are a lot of elements on the page, and setting that order manually, I'll tell you, is adding the to tag each one of these things for all 3 pages. That would probably take me a good hour to do it correctly. If you really need your PDF to be accessible, which we all do, you have to do that. And if this document came from Microsoft Word and Microsoft Word set the tags for the reading order, it's very likely that you're going to have to crack open this Acrobat Pro editor and reset the tags if it's very important that you specify the order. Accessibility is not a switch that you turn on or off. Sometimes it needs a lot of finagling to get these documents in a condition that when someone uses a screen reader on them, that the information is presented in a way that's logical to someone who's listening to the structure of the document in a sequential linear order. Some things that tags would be useful for would be to put headings on a document. But anyway, I really I can't delve that deeply into this, or that would be like an hour-long video to get in here and mess with this stuff. And also I'm not adept enough at the process to be able to explain it to anybody else in any succinct way. So I think we're ready to just see what happens when we read this with JAWS, because the clock is ticking on my 40-minute use limit. So let me just go back to here. Let's close this and let's see what JAWS sounds like. Let's hear what JAWS sounds like.
JAWS for Windows. Forms underline evaluation.pdf dash Adobe Acrobat Pro Ds. Forms underline evaluation.pdf document. Page has no links. Forms underline evaluate. Continue to run at 40 minutes. Button pressed. Forms underline evaluation.pdf document. Dash. Web accessibility questionnaire.
There we go. Okay, so that's the first line of text, and we don't get a focus indicator. We don't get a visual focus indicator, so we really are I'm just using the arrow keys to get around on this thing. And we're going to see what happens as I use the down arrow key to parse this page.
1. Name of website http://dev-haphazard-electronics.pantheonsite.io/
Okay, so that's not a link, but it sounds like one. It didn't say that it was a link, so that's okay. The optical character recognition did a pretty good job of scanning this printout, and I just wonder how it's going to act once it gets to some of these handwritten characters, and I guess we're going to see.
2. Date access: 5 started 4:51s: time finished underline 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 underline.
Okay, that's not too bad. Next line, arrow down.
3. Device used left parent circle 1 right parent colon. Period. Space. D. 4. Operating system left parent circle 1 right parent colon.
Okay, let's try the tab key and see what happens. Nothing, because tab is to navigate from link to link, if we remember our shortcuts, which I always forget. So
Desktop. R quote quote dot 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 dash 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 dot dot dot. Windows 10 /3 Windows 10 OS X or earlier Mac. Linux Android. 5. Web browser left parent circle 1 right parent colon. Chrome. Other. Safari Other. 6. Did you use assistive technology to interact with the site? Phone. iOS. Yes underline. 7. If yes, which assistive technology did you use? Left parent circle all add apply right parent colon. Tablet. No. Braille display screen magnification software. Speech input software alternative input devices human assistance. Other. 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 Other.
okay, so optical character recognition was good, but it's missing stuff. So, it's not the entire picture. I just wanted to show that it was there and it can be used, and JAWS can use some of the output, but it's not complete. You would still have to go in and make this thing make sense.
NVDA voiceover. 8. Which screen reader software was used, if any? Left parent circle all add apply right parent. The NVDA voiceover. System accessor SA to go window dash eyes. Narrator Orca talkback. Cobra BRLTTY magic. Alexa Google Home. Zoom text. Chrome Vox.
Okay, so we've got this array of text values. Let me see if I can, for one thing, let's see if I can make JAWS just be a little quieter for now, and I'm going to set some tags on this thing. I just want to show what that's like. Okay, here's my tag root, and surprise, surprise, I believe that tags are XML based, if I'm not mistaken. So let's create a new tag. Let's see. Type, article, annotation, block quote, caption, code, division, document, figure, form, formula, heading, level 1, index, label, link. So we've got, here's our list item, and we're going to make a title, and that's going to be screen reader list, S screen reader. Screen reader list 1 in camel case. So I've got this tag. Let's see where it shows up. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 2. I'm going to go ahead and shut off JAWS. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this now, and I'm going to get my bearings, and I probably should do a little bit on this, and I need to just kind of refresh my memory of how to actually perform these operations. And I'll come back and do a couple of minutes of this and see if we can get this thing, or at least part of it, to make sense with JAWS. Like, probably I'll go back and look at this array here and try and assign a reading order to these items, just as an illustration. Okay, see you in the next video.